Hi everyone, and first of all, I want to thank you a lot for the incredible support in the last video of sound design that I made more than a year ago. Also, thank you because now we are more than 100 subscribers in the channel. Really, thank you for all, and I hope this new year I can create more content for you. And now, in this video, I'm gonna show you how I made the sound design for this opening scene of the movie Superman using FL Studio. First, I'm gonna show you the final result, and then I'll explain all the project step by step. Okay, here's the project. I will divide all the scene in 5 parts, so it's more organized to explain. First, I'm using this ambient sound for all the scene that I recorded by myself and only processed with distortion of this plugin called Destructor. Also, I use this plugin called Fresh Air to boost a little bit of the highs and the mids. And finally, an EQ cutting the lows and the highs. Then we have the other ambient sound, which I only applied an EQ cutting the highs because I need some space for the next sound. That is, the steps, that have an EQ cutting the lows. Then we have this byte sound, which is processed by this EQ. One important thing is that the majority of the sounds of the project are sent to this bus with this reverb, to give the feeling of being in a big space. Then we have these sounds of Superman's body being rocked. In the main sound, as you can see, I automate the volume to give movement to the sound, and also I apply an EQ, cutting the lows and a little bit of the highs. This net sound is recorded by myself using a jacket, and I only use an EQ to remove the lows and the highs frequencies to give a space to the net sound. That is this. Processed with a fresh air, boosting the highs, and an EQ cutting all the lows. And again, I only cut the lows and the highs with an EQ. First, I cut more of the highs of the ambient sound with a really aggressive automation, because, as you can see, the cuts of the scene are dry, so I want to reflect that in the sound too. We have this sound of rumble, that literally have nothing of process because if it sounds good, sounds good. Then we have this sound which I only cut the highs. In this other sound, I use an automation of this low pass filter, but later, and also the sound had an automation of the volume to give more character to the actual sound. Then we have these sounds that have more high frequencies. These in particular have a long reverb and a high pass filter. And these other have also a long reverb and an EQ letting pass only the mid frequencies. For this sound, I only cut the highs, and I also using the rumble sound of the previous part. Then we have this sound, which I only cut the highs and control a particular frequency. Here we have more sounds of rocks. again cutting the highs, and more sounds doing the same process. I use these same sounds that I show you in the other parts. I record the mouth sound of the dog by myself, and I only process with an EQ cutting the lows. Just in case I didn't record the bark sound of the dog, I took it from a sounds library, and I only use fresh air to boost the highs and an EQ to cut the lows and a little bit of the highs too. For the sound of the symbol of Superman, I use two layers. In the first I cut the highs, and in the second I cut the lows and the highs too. You can hear the difference. Also, I use again the rumble sound. For this door sound, as you can see, I apply the technique of the aggressive automation of the low pass like in the ambient sound. Then we have this other sound, where I only apply an EQ cutting the highs and this plane called wider to give more stereo to the sound. In this other sound, I use fresh air to boost the highs and an EQ cutting the lows and a little bit of the highs. Here we have more mouth sounds of the dog, also recorded by myself and only processed with a high pass. This bite sound have this really aggressive EQ. Finally, we have more of the same sounds of the first part. And well, that's all the project. So that was the video. I hope you can find this useful, and if it's the case, you can comment, give me a like and a subscription to this channel if you wanna see more content like this. Thanks for watching all the video, and see you later. Bye bye.